You know, some stories, they just stick with you, not because they have a neat ending, but because they don't. Today, we're going to dive into a mystery that has haunted a family and an entire community for decades. The disappearance of a 9-year-old boy named Scotty Kleeschulte.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. It's a question no parent should ever have to ask. You head off to work in the morning, and by the time you're back home, a piece of your world is just gone. That's the devastating reality at the very heart of this story.
And to really let the scale of this sink in, look at this. Scotty was just 9 years old when he vanished. If he were alive today, he'd be 46. That huge gap, 37 years, that's an entire lifetime of unanswered questions for his family.
Okay, so to understand this case, we have to go right back to the beginning. The day everything changed was June 8, 1988, in what was a pretty quiet community in St. Charles, Missouri.
So let's just lay out the official, undisputed facts here. This is straight from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We're talking about Scott Allen Kleeschulte, a little kid with freckles on his nose, 3 small moles, and a scar on his chin. He was last seen simply walking near his house.
The timeline of that afternoon shows just how fast everything happened. Around 4:30 p.m., Scotty is spotted. A little while later, this really fierce thunderstorm just rolls in, and believe me, that detail is going to become critically important. Then, by the evening, his mom, Peggy, gets home from work, and her son is gone.
So in those first critical hours and days right after he disappeared, a massive search effort kicked off. It was a complete race against time, fueled by a family's desperation and a whole community's hope to find this missing boy.
And the initial response was huge. I mean, search crews were all over the area. They brought in scent dogs, and get this, the dogs actually picked up a trail and followed it for 5 miles. But, and it's a big but, that same storm that had rolled in earlier, it turned out to be a major problem. The rain was torrential, and it almost certainly washed away the trail and any other evidence that might have been there. Pretty much right away, authorities started thinking this wasn't just a lost kid, they suspected an abduction.
And you just can't measure the human cost of a mystery like this. For over 30 years, Scotty's mother, Peggy, has had to live with this not knowing. Her own words really capture that daily struggle. She said, "The worst part is when I am by myself and I started to think about things. You just have to keep going."
For years, the case went completely cold. But then, out of the blue, in a place you would never expect, this bizarre new lead popped up that threw Scotty's story right back into the spotlight.
Okay, so fast forward to 2016. We're talking almost 3 decades after Scotty disappeared. The internet is now, a huge part of everyday life, and that's exactly where this case took a very strange turn.
So a user on Reddit posts this anonymous story. They claim that way back in the 1980s, they were in some kind of dirt cliff hideout and they accidentally killed another kid. This one anonymous post would pretty soon get connected to a very real, very cold case. And this is how those digital dots got connected. Investigators and a whole bunch of online sleuths started putting the pieces together. The timeline, the location, the details in the post, it all seemed to be pointing to Scotty's case. They even pinpointed a specific place, Fox Hill Park, which had cliffs and gorges that totally matched the Redditor's story. It was a wild piece of modern digital detective work, really.
So this new lead brought this huge surge of hope, right? But where does the case actually stand today? Well, unfortunately, despite all the excitement and the new searches that the Reddit confession kicked off, nothing. No definitive evidence was ever found. This incredibly compelling lead, it just turned into another dead end. And so we're left with the same haunting questions. Was that Reddit confession real, a genuine guilt-ridden admission, or was it just some cruel hoax? Is it possible any remains are now buried forever under new buildings and roads? Or did that fierce storm on June 8, 1988 really just wash away any chance of ever finding the answers?
After all the years, all the searches, and all the bizarre twists, the official status hasn't changed. The case of Scott Allen Kleeschulte remains open, and it remains unsolved.
And that's the final question that just hangs there, isn't it? For his family and for everyone who's followed this case for decades, it's a question that still needs an answer. After all this time, will we ever truly know what happened to Scotty?